Well, this is Scarps and Spikes, Sydney and Tommy with you on the eve, Tommy, of the MLS Cup Playoffs. We already had the wild card matches, Atlanta United beating CF Montreal, and the Vancouver Whitecaps running all over the Portland Timbers in Portland because their place, Vancouver's place, was unavailable due to the motocross event. But here we are. MLS Cup Playoffs are here. How are you feeling?
I'm glad we're not the only team that gets in trouble for not being able to have, what was it, Open Cup games that you
Yeah.
weren't, because it was monster trucks, right?
Right.
Yeah,
Monster Truck
same
Rally at
thing. A little
Mercedes
bit.
Benz.
We're bigger, so we get monster. We get
Bigger
monster
and
trucks.
better,
Vancouver
baby.
gets little bikes.
Bigger and better. But yeah, the MLS Cup playoffs getting underway Friday night. Atlanta United taking on Inter Miami at Chase Stadium. Inter Miami's first home playoff match. Of course, Lionel Messi's first ever playoff match as a member of Inter Miami. We'll talk about the Atlanta,
Not
of
sold
course,
out.
not sold out, apparently. We'll talk about the Inter Miami Atlanta United series at the end, since we are Atlanta United podcast, of course. But just remember to like, subscribe, and share. If you haven't subscribed, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, share our content. That really helps us grow, guys. Thanks so much for getting us over 1,100 subscribers. We're looking for more. We're pushing for more. So definitely tell your friends about our podcast. Tell your friends
Your
about your
grandparents,
grandparents,
third
aunts,
cousins,
uncles, third cousins. Tell them
dogs.
all dogs.
My
Tell them,
dog has his own YouTube account.
is that right? Tell your dog to
Yeah,
subscribe.
I got 3
He's
accounts
already
with them. So yeah.
perfect. Tommy's dogs are subscribing, so you should too. Just hit the subscribe button down there. Like our content, share it. Definitely helps us out a lot. With that said, Tommy, let's get right into it. Are you ready?
One more thing.
One more thing.
It's a spoiler. Well, we're recording this on Friday, so happy Five Stripe Friday to all
Yes.
those who celebrate, and
Yes.
playoff day. It's a holiday. We got to wish people.
Yes.
We got to wish people
Absolutely.
this. Hopefully, it's an annual holiday that we have where
We're
it's
Atlanta
a
United
play
fans.
for playoffs. Yeah, as well. All right, now you can go.
All
Sorry.
right.
If it wasn't just me and you, and I was distracting
No, I
you, then
got
it
you.
wouldn't be a real podcast. So go ahead.
Totally got you. All right, let's get right into it. Let's start with the West. Again, we'll talk about Atlanta United Inter Miami series toward the end, but let's start with the West. Let's start with the top seed in the West, LAFC, getting that top seed in dramatic fashion on decision day over the LA Galaxy, who take on the Colorado Rapids. But let's start with LAFC Vancouver. LAFC, Tommy, looking for that second trophy. They already won MLS Cup, looking to atone for that loss, or for that loss rather, in last year's MLS Cup final. Their attack super high power, thanks in part to, of course, Danny Bouanga, Mateus Bogusz, 35 goals, 18 assists between the two of them. Strong defense, too, 43 goals allowed, 6th lowest total in MLS. Of course, Hugo Lloris, can't ignore him. Just the big games that he's played in, Champions League finals, World Cup finals, etc. On the other side, Vancouver, we mentioned that win against Portland at Providence Park, 5-0. Just an absolute masterclass by Vancouver. Thanks in part to Ryan Gauld and Brian White. So those two will be your key figures, and those two will need to be clicking if Vancouver need or are to have any chance in winning this series. And how can the defense, Tommy, handle that LAFC attack that I just talked about? My opinion, this is pretty much chalk all the way. I think LAFC will win in the sweep. 2 games. What are your thoughts?
Last year's playoff series between these two teams was interesting, right? Game
Yeah.
2, your coach gets kicked out of the game because there was a real bad call. I was trying to go back and see the highlights before we did the video.
Yeah.
I didn't do my homework, so I'm just going by memory. But I thought the ref got in the way of a player, which ended up causing like a break, which ended up scoring the LAFC goal that really took it home. So if I'm right, great. If I'm not, don't message in the comments and tell me what it is. We'll just assume I'm right. But it was very fiery, right? The coach gets kicked out of that game, very upset with it. I want to say sweep, but there's a part of me that says that Vancouver's going to make this go 3, and I would love it, right? I love seeing these top seeds sweat a little bit.
Yeah.
I do think LAFC wins, but I feel Vancouver is going to be talking about what happened last year, and they're going to want to atone for at least giving giving Vancouver fans a home win. It's
Yeah.
at home, right? Or is there also a motocross event there as well?
Presumably, it will be at BC Plays. Game
Okay.
2 will be at PZ Plays unless anything changes.
Yeah, I'm gonna say it's LAFC in 3.
Okay. LAFC in 3, Tommy says, and I say a sweep for LAFC,
No, you said
leading
hell
2
no.
games.
You said no. There's no doubt about it.
That's
It's a
no
sweep.
doubt about it in my
We'll
mind. We'll
see. I
see.
think I did better than you last year at this.
We'll revisit.
Yeah, we'll go back and see.
Yeah. Moving on to LAFC's rival, LA Galaxy, taking on the Colorado Rapids in the 2-7 matchup. LA, of course, hosting matches 1 and 3, if necessary, match 3, and then Colorado hosting match 2 at Dick's Sporting Goods Park. And for LA, Tommy, it's all about the killer piece, Paintsel Puig, Pooch, I should say, and Peck. Gabriel Peck, just a phenomenal season. MLS Newcomer of the Year candidate, finalist. He certainly got my vote. I voted for him for the award, but 16 goals, 14 assists in this first season in MLS, just phenomenal. Can't figure it out. Ricky Pooch, just an elite number 10 of this league, 13 goals, 15 assists for the Galaxy, and those two, plus Paintsel, have really driven this LA team. You can't forget, about, just a lot of the players that they have, on this roster, and they're going to make life difficult for the Timbers, I believe. Marco Royce is another name you have to remember for the Galaxy, who has come in and looked to make his mark in MLS. And another name, of course, that you have to mention, just 1 goal, 3 assists through 6 matches, but he has that big game experience as well, having played in Germany for so long. Colorado just in rough shape. You want to be playing your best football coming into the series, and they are certainly not. Losers of the past 4, just in the bad way. Chris Armas will be considered for Coach of the Year. I'm sure he got some votes for Coach of the Year, getting Colorado to the playoffs, but I just don't see them making much headway against LA. I see this as a sweep as well. Colorado are just not up to the task, I think. Coming into the series, not playing their best football, as I said, and I think LA Galaxy in 2 games against the Colorado Rapids. What do you think?
Colorado's is one of the better home teams in the West, 10-4-3, which is pretty impressive.
Yeah.
There, better than quite a few teams. But I think the Galaxy are going to make a run on their offense. We're going to get to the East, and we'll talk about the team I think that might make a run with its defense. But offensively, I think the Galaxy are going to turn it on here. I mean, 69 goals, nice, for the season. I mean, that's the most there. And I could see the Galaxy galaxing. And Edgar, if you're watching this right now, I apologize.
What does that mean, the Galaxy galaxying?
I just see them blowing it in big games. I mean, they lost Decision Day, right? They weren't able to get the 3 points in Decision Day to have the number 1 seed, right?
Right. Yeah, they needed that win to essentially a draw to get the number 1 seed, but then
right. And I really thought they were going to do it, and just came back and said, okay, like they weren't able to get the big one done here. With that said, I do think that this round is going to. They're going to turn the offense on, and they're going to be able to finish it in Colorado. So, long way of saying I agree with you.
So you say sweep as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
Who says we can't agree on things?
I know, right? Moving on to RSL Minnesota, the 3-6 matchup in the Western Conference. RSL, another team with a very strong attack. Chicharrongo, Anderson Julio, Diego Luna. Luna got my vote for Young Player of the Year. So the team will largely go as those 3 goals. Those 3, I think, are as good as any in MLS. Had a bad loss to Houston, a few weeks ago in the latter stages of the regular season. But they are coming in, Tommy, unbeaten in their last 5 matches. So they're coming in, not in great form, but in pretty good form. RSL are. Minnesota are red hot. 4 wins in the last 5. The 5th match was a draw. Had a rough time of it in the summer. Made some additions in the summer. Things have just turned around in a dramatic way. Robin Lid had an injury in 2023. MLS Cup, or I'm sorry, MLS Comeback Player of the Year Canada, another player that I voted for that award. 7 goals, 15 assists for the Bangi Holongwane, 11 goals as a career season for him. Tani Oluwasei, a terrific season, 8 goals, 6 assists. Canadian men's national team taking notice, Jesse Marsh taking notice, and Oluwasei has worked his way into that national team discussion. Countryman Dane St. Clair between the sticks and goal for the Loons. One of the most underrated keepers in MLS, in my opinion. This is a match. I know we said LAFC. I said LAFC both in sweeps. You said LAFC in 3, LA in 2. This is one that seriously could go 3 matches all the way. That being said, I think RSL just has that slim edge over Minnesota United. I think they will advance to the next round. Your thoughts?
And Minnesota didn't even start the season with the manager, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It started late, and you weren't sure what's this team going to be,
Yeah.
right? Coming in that, and not late, but like coming in a couple games in the season, that's still got to be difficult, right?
Yeah.
With that said, I have RSL as my dark horse, and I don't know if the third seed's really a dark horse of making it far, but when you have 2 high-powered LA teams, right? I think anyone else is really a dark horse here.
Yeah.
I mean, Arango before the suspension, I mean, the team was rolling, right?
Yeah.
And the offense goes as he goes. And I think if there's a guy that could put this team on his back, a Joseph Martinez for
Exactly.
Atlanta United reference, for when we were in the playoffs years ago with him, he's the guy to do it. So I think this team goes as he goes. I think they sweep.
Like RSL sweeps.
I think RSL sweeps this. I think that they are going to have a lot of talk about them after this first round.
Yeah.
And the LAs are going to be a little bit worried that maybe it's not a guaranteed Western Conference final at the Rose Bowl. I know they're not going to do it there, but it'd be really cool if they did.
Yeah, I can see that. RSL, I could see maybe making some noise in the West, but of course have to beat Minnesota United. Last one in the West, Seattle Sounders, Houston Dynamo, the 4-5. This is, to me, Tommy, a real coin flip. These are 2 really solid defensive teams. Seattle lead the league, I should say, in goals allowed with 35. Houston, 39 goals allowed, third fewest in MLS. Seattle, what they always do, right, Tommy? They get hot at the end of the regular season, just when you think, oh, this is the year that the Sounders missed the postseason. They go on this run and they turn heads. They do what they always do, and this is really no different. This was the case again in 2024. Houston, the big question is Hector Herrera, the big midfielder, Ache. How does he affect the match? 17 assists, I believe, for this team. He is the true talisman of this team. And largely as this team goes, he goes as this team goes. Dealt with some injuries toward the back end of the season. Is back, is healthy, and presumably will be at full strength in this series. Again, I just feel like this will be a coin flip. It could really go either way just based on how good these defenses are playing right now. I do think, and this is just based on my gut feeling right now, I do think Houston will get out of the series in 3 matches. 1 or 2 of these matches will go to the penalties, I believe. And I think ultimately, though, Houston Dynamo advance out of this particular bracket, out of this particular matchup, I should say. What do you think?
I think you were reading my notes. I didn't share them with you. I think there's 2 series that all 3 games could go to penalties, and this was one of them that I picked. Both teams are very good at home, but they're also good at drawing at home as well. I believe they both have 7 draws at home here. The teams are very similar in a lot of ways. I think they're going to be very close. I don't think they're going to be very exciting games. I think they're going to be low scoring, 1-1, 0-0 draws.
100%.
They're going to go to penalties. and I'm
Yeah.
fine with that. You know what? If we can get a series where all three go to penalties, that'll make it enjoyable for me. So if it goes to penalties, because this is probably not the series that I have circled, that I'm going to spend some time on watching
Yeah.
every night. Text me right before it goes to penalties so I can get to the TV and watch it, please.
So who do you have coming out though?
Oh, I have to pick that, don't I? I'm just going to go with the team. I think you have to go with home advantage here, and I say it's Seattle.
Seattle. Okay. Yeah, I definitely agree. That's going to be a tight series. And, if you're looking for goals on top of goals, Seattle Houston won't be it. And that's just, again, a credit to their defense and not an attack on their offense at all. So that's kind of my opinion on that. So we talked about the East. I talked about the West, rather. Let's switch to the Eastern Conference. And again, we'll
Let's
leave
go.
Atlanta. We'll leave Atlanta, Miami toward the end. So let's start with the 2-7 matchup. Columbus Crew versus Red Bulls. And Tommy, what can you say about the Crew that we haven't said already? I think if Miami doesn't win MLS Cup, I think the Colorado Crew, the Columbus Crew will win MLS Cup. It's the best team in the league for my money. Struggled to haven't beaten Miami this season, but I think the best team in the league. Cucho, MVP candidate who I voted for. Rossi, one of the top wingers in the league. Nagby, we know all about him. Nancy, vote for him. Coach of the year. Red Bulls are just not a good team right now. And one winner the last night, just limping into the postseason. I said earlier, you need to be playing your best football heading into the postseason, and the Red Bulls are anything but Red Bulls. And before the Metro Stars have had disappointment upon disappointment in the postseason. I think this year will be no different. I'm saying chalk. I'm saying the Crew into no chance for Red Bulls in this series.
Yeah, I mean, the one concern is all the roster congestion that Columbus has had, right?
Yeah,
And once they were out of the supporter shield, they rested some guys here. Their entire team has been interesting because they made a lot of changes throughout the season to evolve this team, right?
yeah,
They made some moves, but this is Cucho season. This is what he does. He comes up in big games. He comes up in a lot of games, but there are times he disappears in the regular season a little bit. But he's got some of his other guys to come help him out here. But for Cucho here, I mean, these are where he makes these big runs. I
yeah,
could see him scoring in every playoff game that they go. I have them going all the way
yeah,
to the final again this year.
yeah.
It's not a hot take, but I mean, it's just I think they're a more complete team than everyone. But no, I'm saying Columbus. Columbus in a sweep. Maybe
Yeah,
the game on the road's a little bit closer.
yeah,
But Nazi does not lose at home unless he doesn't have a second keeper. So then you
yeah.
have to pick, anybody to play keeper here.
The position
That's the
player.
only time he loses at home if they don't give him an option to have a second one. So yeah, easy sweep for me.
All right, let's move on to Columbus's Hell's real rivals, Cincinnati, New York City FC, the 3-6 matchup in the East. Cincinnati, a team that were in bad form heading into the decision day to beat Philadelphia, and that helped, of course, Atlanta United to get into the playoffs. But just injuries, Tommy, for this team, injuries about injuries. They weren't at their best because of it. Nowhere near what they were last year when they won the Supporters Shield. Of course, you have Lucho Acosta, one of the top players in the league. What can he do to elevate this team and hopefully make them or help them make a push toward making some noise in the Eastern Conference?
Not an MVP finalist.
Not an MVP finalist, exactly. I mean, he should have been. I didn't vote for him, of course. I voted for Kucha, but time and again, he's been one of the top players in the league, and they'll really need to lean on him, Cincinnati, if they want to win this series. New York City FC fell to Montreal decision day. Before that, had won 3 in a row. Before that, couldn't buy a win. They're 0-3-6. They're just in shambles, really. And we were done like, hey, will this team make the playoffs? Ultimately, they did. Alonso Martinez, a terrific player, 9 goals in his last 10 matches. So he's kind of hot at the right time, even if it hasn't always equaled wins for NYC. He has been a red hot player. He's really come good for this club. I could really see this one going 3 matches. I think one of them at least will go to a penalty shootout, but I think NYC, just because of the issues Columbus are having, do get out in 3 matches.
I agree. One thing I said for New York City is that they were going to want to win on decision day so that they had the honor of being able to play Cincinnati here. And something
Yeah.
against Cincinnati. I mean, you said pretty much everything I was going to say about Cincinnati here. Are you rooting for New York City? Because aren't they playing game 2 in your favorite baseball team's
City
field?
Field. Yeah, that's right. City Field because of Yankee Stadium. Something going on at Yankee Stadium.
Something.
World Series or something like that. I don't know. Big baseball
Yeah.
league.
I mean, that it's still an advantage, right? I think it might be slightly bigger than Yankee Stadium, slightly. I think we've gone into this fight. I know
Yeah.
Doug was fighting everyone on Twitter early in the year with it, but that's still a definite advantage here. It's just hard to win in that stadium if you're not doing it on a regular basis in any
Yeah.
baseball field to go play at. So I think it goes 3 here. I'm gonna say this is one of the upsets, one of the few upsets that I'm going to have here. The next one's all spoiler. The next one I think is going to be one as well. But I think New York City's going to be able to do it. And again, it's just
Yeah.
all the injuries are just going up there. However, I will say Acosta might be
Yeah.
very offended that he was not a finalist. He might turn on petty mode and put up
Who
a hat
knows?
trick.
Who knows?
He might hit a home run in New York, and that's ball game, baby.
I mean, that's a good point. I mean, he could very well do that, and maybe that chip on the shoulder will be enough to push Cincinnati over the line. But no, I agree with you. New York City in 3 matches. We kind of alluded to it earlier. Orlando, Charlotte, the 4-5. I think Charlotte is kind of the quote unquote good vibes team of the Eastern Conference, right? Christian Colina, we've seen him up close twice when Atlanta have played Charlotte, especially the match at Bank of America Stadium. I voted for him as goalkeeper of the year. Just a phenomenal keeper. And if he's not at his best, Charlotte aren't in the position that they are right now. So shout out to him. Credit to Dean Smith, first year head coach coming in. And under immense pressure from the ownership, under David Tepper, I think this is what coach number 3 for his Charlotte FC. Dean Smith has done a phenomenal job with this club. Karol Swiderski, 6 goals, 2 assists in just 10 matches. He's been injured most of the season, but he's come in and right away it seems like has just been a terrific player for them. Tim Ream at the back line, veteran player with vast international experience. He stepped in there, and they're coming in 4-0-1 in their last 5. So Charlotte may be a little bit of a dark horse. I don't know if they'll go all the way, but a little bit of a dark horse that can make some noise. Orlando, of course, we all know about Orlando. Lost to Atlanta, fairly controversial fashion in the decision day to see Atlanta get through. Shouldn't take away from this the way they've played this season. Facu Torres, Maguire, their top attackers, Gallese in goal for them. What version of Pedro Gallese do we see? He had a rough goal in the earlier portions of the season. Really improved his play of late. Does he continue that on, or does he kind of fall back into the bad form that he was in earlier this season? For me, this is going to be a 3-match series, I think, but Orlando, just due to just the attacking firepower, just due to that little bit of edge they have as far as experience, I think has the advantage at this point. That being said, if Charlotte can go in to Inter Stadium down there in Orlando and maybe snatch that first game, maybe in penalties, maybe send it to penalties and win, set up a really tense environment at Bank of America in their first ever home playoff match, they could get off the series, but I think realistically, Orlando has the better chance of winning this 1 in 3. They'll take games 1. Charlotte will kind of ride the home crowd, the momentum to win game 2. I think Orlando wins game 3 to wrap up the series.
So Charlotte has scored the least amount of goals of a team in the playoffs with 46. Atlanta also had 46, okay? So they pushed their way into the playoffs, right? So they haven't scored a lot of goals, but 37 goals against is pretty good.
Yeah.
For a season. I'm trying to look here to see who Columbus was remaining teams with 40.
Yeah.
It's pretty impressive there.
Yeah, it is.
I think this is the exact same type of series that we talked about with Seattle.
Yeah.
Where this is going to be a very boring series. And I'm copy pasting what I said. It's going to go 3 games.
Yeah.
Likely 3 penalties. But Charlotte have the keeper. They have the defense.
Okay.
Defense wins big games, right?
Yeah.
That's why I'm so scared for Atlanta United. I'm so scared for Atlanta United. But I will say, I think that their defense is going to scare their next opponent, right? I think it can scare anyone here, and that could be. Well, I haven't looked. I forget that they don't reseed, right? It's not.
I think they do for the most part.
Okay.
Highest seed place, lowest remaining, and all of that.
I think they can give a Columbus or a Miami some trouble here, and it could be fun. It could be fun to watch what that defense can do. Can they scare one of these top seeds by being able to hold them to no goals and potentially? I mean, what if Charlotte takes every game to MLS Cup from penalties?
Yeah.
The entire way through. That'd be hilarious.
That'd be brilliant.
I mean, that'd be something to talk. That'd be something to talk about. I hope all their players are practicing penalties.
Right. So you're saying Charlotte in 3 or Orlando 3? Charlotte in 3?
I'm saying Charlotte in 3.
Charlotte
I think they're gonna make it.
So that leaves us with just one final matchup, and that is, of course, the top seed Inter Miami taking on the 9th seed Atlanta United. We're an Atlanta United show, Atlanta United channel, so you already know all about Atlanta United. Look up our content. Follow us on scarfsandspikes.com.
Oh, we got to talk about it for a minute.
I'm just setting it up. I'm just setting it up.
Okay. I was getting nervous. Because people might have been getting ready to click X.
Yeah, no. But as we're sitting here, Atlanta are about to play Inter Miami. They come in with
5 hours. 5 hours. They're kicking off.
Yeah, but no, they come in with a massive chip on their shoulder, right? And FEA and all of that stuff has been the.
What does that mean, Sydney?
You can look it up, but they come in with.
I'm gonna get you to swear one time, just once.
No, they come in with chip on their shoulder, us against the world, and they know that the spotlight is firmly on Inter Miami for good reason, right? Nobody's picking them. Nobody's giving them any attention. This may as well be a 2-game sweep for Miami based on the way people are talking. But, we've mentioned it the other day. Confidence is real, and they can't let the moment get too big. This is massive for them. The world literally is watching because of one player, right? And
well, the Apple stores are watching.
Well, yeah.
If you're an Atlanta United fan and you need an iPhone, an Apple Watch, an iPad, whatever you want,
conveniently go there.
Tell your spouse, whoever it is, your roommate, we're going to the Apple store and we're gonna go watch the Atlanta United playoff game at the Genius Bar.
Good move. No, but this is all about one person for really 99% of the fan base of MLS. And Messi, of course, is going to be the draw to this series. And again, you can't let this moment get too big where you kind of let Miami do what they want to do. And that doesn't apply to just game 1. That applies to this entire series, however long it goes. You at least have one game at Mercedes-Benz Stadium, regardless of what happens on Friday. Obviously, you would love to shut people up and get a win, whether that be in penalties, whether that be in regulation. You have to, again, approach this with the right mindset. Yes, you have momentum. Yes, you have this chip on the shoulder, but you have to have this mindset that we can't lose. We aren't able to lose. And I think if they do that, they could give themselves half a chance to get out of this series. They of course have taken 4 points from Miami in the regular season. But we talked about it on Wednesday. Playoffs is a different beast. That being said, I do think Atlanta wins game 2. I think Miami wins the first match, but ultimately Miami will win this series in 3 matches over Atlanta United to end what's been a really good run for Atlanta. And I think if that happens, you can at least look back and say, hey, this team gave it their all. This team didn't quit. They didn't lie down. They silenced the doubters. They at least got to this point. Because as we said, Tommy, everything past this is gravy. Nobody's giving them a chance. Why not make the most of it? At the same time, I do think Inter Miami are the much better team by far, and they'll win the series in 3. Atlanta gets the second one at home at a sold-out Mercedes-Benz Stadium, but Inter Miami in 3 matches over Atlanta United.
Maybe a sold-out Mercedes-Benz Stadium.
I
saw the ticket prices today. Did you see the tweet?
Gosh, I didn't see your tweet, but I've seen the ticket prices. They are no joke.
$200.
Good grief.
It's not sold out yet. It's not sold out.
Yeah.
There's still quite a few seats left at home, but you know what? There's not a lot, but there's a decent amount of seats that are still available for tonight's game in Miami. How did this team not sell out their first big playoff game with Messi and friends, right? A little shocking to me.
Same reason. Ticket prices probably.
Yeah, I mean, $400. I know the Miami life, everybody's got a boat
South
in Miami, and right. I'm pretty sure our Better Heron friends all have their own beaches, their own personal beaches that they hang out on. I've said it a lot. I think that this game 1 is obviously just too much for Atlanta to get past, right? I mean, you've got just so much going on. Short rest, travel. I think it's a lot for this team to be able to get by, especially a few of the very stressful games that they've gone through, right? So I expect them to lose this game 1 by multiple goals. At home, though, I could see this becoming a thriller where it goes to penalties and they're able to get one. And wouldn't it be some shit, Rob Valentino, if Brad Guzan stops Messi and Suarez on penalties?
My gosh.
Oh, the roof would explode. The Falcons would not have a place to play next week because that would be insane.
I know.
Everybody says it's gonna be a sweep. Maybe it's just the homerism and me and you, and Tyler's probably saying Atlanta's going to sweep them.
Yeah.
I think it would be cool to see this go 3, right? You don't want to be embarrassed on this grand stage, and it is a grand stage because there's a lot of people that bought the MLS package for one man, right? And that man, his name is Brad Guzan. So you have to, you've got to be able to, right, of course, and Saba.
And Jay Fortune.
Right, and Jay Fortune. But I think, it would be cool if they get it to 3, and anything can happen in a game 3. But this first game, I would be surprised. If Atlanta wins this game, Tina's in the other room, I'll shave my beard maybe. But we'll see. I feel like she's listening, but she's probably not.
Strike that from the record if we need to.
Yeah. I would think about it because I just think that there's no chance for this. Vegas doesn't think there's an opportunity. But if you can give yourself some belief and really get some buzz around this team, because everything has just been so negative for so long about this team. And these past 2 weeks have been real feel-good moments, right? I think we all needed it as fans because a lot of people were just like, let this season end. Please let this season end. Let's get Henderson in here. And that's the other thing we got to talk about. Henderson could be coming in here, and he might be watching this game very closely. So I'm interested to see what happens, but unfortunately, I think it's Miami in 3.
Yeah. Well, that's it. That is our predictions for the first round of the MLS Cup Playoffs. What are yours? Let us know in the comments. Go to scarfsandspikes.com again for our Atlanta United coverage. Follow us on Scarves and Spikes on X, Scarves the letter N Spikes, and of course we are at Instagram, Threads, Facebook. Just search Scarves and Spikes.
Not Snapchat. We're not on Snapchat. You can't watch our podcast on Snapchat like some stupid soccer player.
Or TikTok. we're neither platform. At
Oh,
this time.
TikTok! Damn it!
Yeah, is that what you meant?
I was so excited to say it, and I screwed up with the
Either
wrong
way,
app.
we are not either platform. But yes, follow us on X, Facebook, Threads, Instagram. Of course, go to scarsandspikes.com. Support us on Patreon as well. Patreon.com/scarsandspikes if you like what we do. Starting at $1.17 a month. And yeah, we'll be back with you throughout the series. Until then, so long. Enjoy the playoffs.
Let's go with that.